California, 1981. A mother and two teenagers, bound and murdered in a mountain cabin. Two young boys, sleeping feet away, untouched. And a 12-year-old girl, missing for 3 years. Keddie, California, a small, quiet mountain resort town surrounded by forest. In the fall of 1981, a single mother named Glenna Sue Sharp moved into cabin 28 with her 5 children, hoping for a fresh start after leaving an abusive marriage. Her oldest son, John, was 15. Her daughters, Sheila and Tina, were 14 and 12. Her 2 youngest boys, Rick and Greg, were 10 and 5. Sue worked hard, took typing classes, and worked part-time at a local lodge, slowly building a new life for her family in this small community. On the night of April 11, 1981, 14-year-old Sheila Sharp was staying overnight at a friend's cabin next door, Cabin 27. Back home in Cabin 28, her mother Sue was with her younger siblings, Tina, Rick, and Greg. Sometime that evening, John and his friend Dana Wingate, 17, caught a ride home after being out in the nearby town of Quincy. It would be the last ordinary night this family would ever have. The next morning, April 12, Sheila walked back home from her sleepover. What she found the moment she opened the door would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the living room, she discovered the bodies of her mother, her brother John, and Dana Wingate. All 3 had been bound with medical and electrical tape, and had been brutally stabbed, strangled, or beaten. It was one of the most disturbing crime scenes investigators had ever encountered in a small town like this, but something even stranger awaited in the next room. In an adjoining bedroom, Sheila's 2 younger brothers, Rick and Greg, along with a young neighbor boy who had spent the night, were found completely unharmed, sound asleep just feet away from the horror in the living room. And Sheila's 12-year-old sister, Tina, was nowhere to be found at all. Investigators quickly realized this wasn't a random break-in. Whoever did this had specifically spared the younger children while brutally killing everyone else, and taken Tina with them. Investigators found a hammer and a knife at the scene, believed to be the murder weapons. The level of violence combined with the deliberate sparing of the younger children suggested this crime had been carefully planned, not a random act by a stranger. Local trust in law enforcement was already low before the murders, and it only grew worse afterward, as the investigation stalled almost immediately, with few solid leads and a community left terrified and suspicious of everyone around them. For 3 agonizing years, Tina Sharp's whereabouts remained a complete mystery. Her family held on to hope, refusing to accept the worst. Then, in a nearby county roughly 30 miles from Keddie, a man out in a rural area discovered a human skull. Investigators recovered additional remains nearby, along with a child's blanket, a blue jacket, and a pair of jeans. Forensic examination confirmed what the Sharp family had feared all along. It was Tina. The case, already a horrific triple murder, was now officially a quadruple homicide. Over the following decades, investigators focused heavily on 2 men connected to the case. Marty Smart, a neighbor whose own son had been one of the children found unharmed at the scene, and John Bobade, a friend of Smart's who had reportedly spent time around the family. Both men had documented military and personal histories that raised suspicion. But both died, in 1988 and 2000, without ever being formally charged with these murders, taking whatever they knew with them. For years, the case sat cold, hampered by lost evidence, unreliable witnesses, and a small-town investigation that many locals felt had been mishandled from the very beginning. Then, decades later, forensic advances gave investigators new hope. A segment of the medical tape used to bind the victims, tape that had been sitting in evidence for over 3 decades, was found to contain identifiable DNA, offering a potential new lead in a case everyone thought had gone permanently cold. Special investigators returned to the case with fresh eyes, re-interviewing surviving witnesses and family members connected to the events of that night. They even identified and interviewed the previously unknown driver who had given John and Dana their ride home the night of the murders, filling in gaps in the timeline that had gone unanswered for decades. Slowly, piece by piece, investigators began building a clearer picture of exactly what happened that April night in 1981. More than 4 decades later, the Keddie Cabin murders remain officially unsolved. No one has ever been arrested. No one has ever stood trial. Cabin 28 itself was eventually torn down, but the questions it left behind never were. Who killed Sue Sharp, John Sharp, and Dana Wingate? Who took Tina, and why? And why were 2 young boys sleeping just feet away left completely untouched? For the Sharp family, and for a small mountain town that has never fully recovered, those answers still haven't come.